ultimate goal of an entrepreneur or a real estate investor, it's not just to get filthy rich.
Yep.
It's just to have the ability to choose.
That book fertilized my soil, for lack of a better word.
Yeah.
You know, that was where the seed was planted. And, you know, for anybody watching, like, that wasn't the moment that everything became great. You know, that was the beginning of digging out of a deep hole. And it's like, some people might be there. Some people might be in a hole way deeper than I was in. Where I'm at now with my finances, with my control over my own personal time, with the options that I have, that is infinitely better, you know, than I felt at that point.
It's incredible. You have choices, right? You have freedom. Like, the ultimate goal of an entrepreneur or a real estate investor, it's not just to get filthy rich.
Yeah.
It's just to have the ability to choose, right? To take your family on vacation when you want, to take care of a loved one that might need help, right?
Yeah.
Whether it be a doctor bill or whatever the case might be, but you have the freedom to choose when you wake up in the morning, when you go to work, if you even so choose to go to work, right?
Yeah.
It gives you that flexibility.
You know, it's funny. So it's funny you make that point, because one limiting belief that I had to try to get over when I started coming around to this whole idea of entrepreneurship, building wealth, all these kind of things is like, I'm a Christian, and, you know, I kind of had this mindset that, like, okay, well, to be a good Christian, I need to be poor. I need to, like, make sure I never, like, accumulate too much and just make sure I'm giving away everything, right? And it's funny because most Christians, like myself included, who had that mindset, a lot of times they have consumer debt.
Yeah.
They have these things that they bought before they could pay for them. But it's funny because I sat and I thought about that one day, and then like reading old stories, like, you know, you look back and, like, people like Abraham in the Bible, for example, had great wealth, right?
Yeah.
The thought that came to my mind is, like you said, we need, like, what we're working for is choices. That's what we're trying to get when we're building these businesses and doing these things. We're not trying to necessarily build this crazy wealth. You know, at least if you have any maturity to, you're not just trying to buy flashy cars and this and that to show off.
Yeah.
Right? You're trying to build yourself choices. Well, imagine, as a person of faith, like, how much more freedom do I have to help people, to, like, actually say yes to opportunities to give to people, to take time out of my day. Like, if I'm working a 9 to 5 and, I don't know, somebody, like, let's say it's 9 o'clock or 8:30 in the morning, I'm driving down the road and I see somebody on the side of the road. This is a real simple example. And, you know, their car broke down. Well, if I have to be at work by 9, I don't have the freedom to just stop and decide to pull over and help them, right?
Yeah.
I don't have that free. That's a real small example. And obviously we could show a ton of other examples with, like, missions work. You want to take 3-4 months to go to another country. You can't do that without resources, and those resources giving you options and choices. And so all, like, it's hard to, like, narrow down in like a podcast time of, like, how big of a mental shift you go through in that process of the light bulb going off, you realizing, oh my gosh, you know, I've been looking at this whole game of life totally the wrong way, at least when it comes to the finance aspect of it. And then you're going to carry baggage with you that you're going to have to work through, and it's going to take time, but man, it's worth it, dude.
The blinders came off, right? It's like,
and you can't go back.
No,
you can't go back. Like, the thought of going to a 9 to 5 job, like, I'll do that if I ever have to. Like, if it came, you know, I'm not above that. I'm not better than that. Nobody's working 9 to 5s less than.
In order to build your way out and to build it all over again, though, right?
But I could never settle in a 9 to 5. And I could never just sit there and work a 9 to 5 and be happy with that. Like, once.
I'm glad you went where you went with that, man. Because, I mean, where the Spirit of the Lord is, there's freedom, right? If you don't have freedom from the busyness, the chaos of everyday life, of the life that society has programmed us into thinking that we need to live in, right? Fitting into this mold, right? The 9 to 5 vision, if you will, right? you're constantly spinning on this hamster wheel, really finding no means of escape, right? And we've been programmed to think that that is the social norm.
Yep.
And then to go a little bit deeper with it, to your point, as a Christian, right, or whatever your mindset might be, right, just because of the environment that we came up out of, right, you're programmed to think that money is bad.
Yep.
Right? If you have an excess of money, right, or you have more money above whatever it takes to float your monthly bills, then you must be a greedy person, right? It's almost like, not to go in a deep rabbit hole with it, right, but it's almost like the powers that be want us to think that money is bad so that we can continue to work in building their system, right? Well, I hate to say it, we're coming out of the industrial age. The industrial age is dead. Information age has given us access to more information than humans have ever had access to before, right? But with it, it comes with a great calling and responsibility, right? Because to social media, you can get consumed in a wormhole, just going down and scrolling stuff, or you can spend your time with intention and learn new skills and figure out how to dig yourself out of this hole, right? And to build a life of impact.
Totally,
right?
dude. Yep. And to that point, like you talk about the industrial age coming to an end, like we don't realize that the way this 9 to 5, this grind that everybody's on, this hamster wheel, is an experiment of the past 50 to 80 years. If you look all throughout human history, the family has been the root of economic production until the Industrial Revolution, when factories and corporations became the root of economic production, which there's good and bad to everything, right? There's tons of positive that came from that, but then we also lost certain pieces of humanity through that. And the cool thing about the information age, which also comes with a lot of good and bad, the cool thing is that in a lot of ways, if you allow yourself to kind of come to this realization, you can take part of that back, especially, if you're a family person, you can take a lot of your means of production back to you and your family, where you're not having to go and report to some big corporation anymore. Now, you can have 10, 15 streams of income, be it YouTube channels, real estate investing, e-commerce, digital products, whatever. And now you are generating the income from for your family from like 10, 15 different sources. And now, we talked about, you control your day, you control how much time you spend with your kids, your wife, how intentional you want to be. And you can make the impact because now you can create and put things out into the world. You're producing stuff that you're passionate about.
Yes. Be a producer, not a consumer.
Bro,
right?
100%. Produce, don't just consume.
Yeah. I love that, man. People need to hear that, right? Again, there's a negative connotation. And I keep going back to this, right? But it's just to press the importance of shifting the way that you think about life, shifting the way you think about money, business, anything else, right? But there's a negative connotation towards having money. People need to leave that mindset behind, right? God wants us to live in abundance, right? He wants us to have freedom. With more freedom, gives you greater opportunity to impact.
True. Yeah.
Awesome, man. So let's pick up from real estate. Started studying, started failing forward, started implementing, right? What were some of the biggest struggles that you faced in the early stages of starting this venture?
So obviously, one I kind of hit on was it took a while to dig out of the debt. So that's something people need to be prepared for, is if you have a hole you got to dig out of, you need to be patient. Like, you got to have patience. It's going to take a while. If you're working a 9 to 5, you're chipping away. So that was a big struggle. Once I got past that point, which I'll put a little sidebar there and say, you don't have to wait to take action. For example, I was in the military. I had a VA loan available to me, which is zero down to buy a house. So I got stationed up in Alaska from California. Instead of renting, we bought a zero down duplex and house hacked it.
Boom.
Most people are familiar with the term house hack. You live in half of it and rent the other half out, and essentially made our house payment close to zero. We didn't even have the zero or getting paid to live for free. We had close to zero. So instead of paying $1,500 a month towards rent, we were paying like $400 a month towards our mortgage. That was a 2-car garage, both sides on an acre.
Wow.
And we paid $400 a month. So that was a huge help to getting that debt paid off.
Yeah.
So don't wait. Figure out ways that you can take action and don't let that snowball stop rolling once you get that spark fired up.